Is that indigo?
My hair?
Yes.
We call it blue over here.
Okay. I have to give you some credit for having the cojones to show up in Tennessee barely a month after the bullet-ridden bodies of children have been buried, as a sort of representative for a culture that did it and offering anything but condolences and sympathy. I think it's disgusting. I think it's shameful. How dare you? How dare you show up here offering anything but sympathy? Because, I think, I should just stand or something. We're familiar with what happened in Tennessee. We're less familiar with the reasons why. But the reason was that at any given time in society, there are about 20% of people who are just fucking nuts. And those people will glom on to whatever the fad is for people who are fucking nuts. So the current fucking nuts is trannies. You can see in the social trends when you plot anorexia and bulimia, which was the big thing when I was growing up, against the new nuts. That there's basically about 1 in 5 people who are just not really all there and will kind of do whatever. But when you hand those people, those unstable and dangerous people, a victimhood script, when you give them a license to commit violence in the name of their supposed identities, instead of giving them the treatment and the love and the prayers that they need, you turn those people into killers. You turn those people into time bombs. And there used to be something in America that would protect against that. It was Christianity. I think it's shameful that anybody would show up so soon after a tragedy caused by the kind of ideologies that you support and do anything but offer sympathy and condolences and celebrate the ideology that has protected us against this sort of thing for so long. It's outside the scope of our evening this evening to prove or disprove the truth of Christianity or Christ or whatever. But I'll make a few points. There is no America without Christ. And the reason for that is that this is an intrinsically and fundamentally Christian nationalist country, by which we mean it's built into the architecture of the nation. There's no getting away from it. You can lie about it. You can pridefully claim that, you can be good people without Christ. You can't. You're just inheriting a system of good and evil from the culture in which you grew up, which accords with the natural law. America was founded, as Adams told us, with a constitution that is wholly unsuited to the governance of anyone but a moral and religious people. And when he said religious, he meant Christian, although he himself was wandered through various different kinds of heresy. What Adams said was that this country is, that its founding documents, that its founding architecture, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, were wholly and fundamentally unsuited to the governance of anything but a moral and religious people. Do you think that America is comprised of a moral and religious people today? Obviously it is not. And what he meant specifically was Christianity, because the way that America is set up outsources morality to Christianity. And without it, it doesn't work, because jury trials don't work when people vote with race instead of conscience and truth. A society doesn't work when people don't obey contracts, don't obey their word, when they're oath breakers. The architecture of America rests fundamentally on a bedrock of Christianity, without which the entire thing falls apart. And that's exactly what's happening. And you don't have to take my word for it. You don't even have to take Adams's word for it, but one of your own Supreme Court justices, somebody who was famously left-wing, Rehnquist, I think it was. Can't bother to look it up, but He said that everything in America presupposes the legal system, the social system, the government. Everything in America presupposes the existence of the Judeo-Christian God. Without that, it all comes tumbling down. And without that, it is coming tumbling down. And without that, we're not able to give people who have terrible sicknesses and weaknesses and defects the help that they need. Instead, we hand them victimhood scripts, and they shoot up schools, they shoot up churches, whether they are young white guys on antidepressants or whether they're transgender people who are told that it's white Christians are responsible for all of their miseries. It is Christianity that keeps us nice to each other, that keeps us being good to one another. And if you toss it out, as happened in 1776 here, you have a really big problem on your hands because, and I'm going to say something very radical and difficult to say in Tennessee of all places, there are freedoms afforded to Americans that are too radical and too great and too daring without the insulation of Christianity. The First and Second Amendments don't work unless everyone's Christian. They don't work, and they're not working. They're not functioning. You can't give crazy atheists guns. You can't let shameless liars say whatever they want about other people in public without consequence. There's a sort of unwritten rule that sits behind everything in America. And it is that these are all the things you get to do because we know that you can handle it. We know that you can be trusted with this because you love God, because you respect life, because you won't take other people's lives, because you'll keep your word. Without that, the First and Second Amendments become a sort of license to abuse one another or to kill one another. They become a license to lie. They become a license to murder. They become too much freedom, because there is such a thing. And without an underpinning moral architecture, this country doesn't work. And it's not working. And since this country has fallen away from God, the Christian God, this country has begun to fall apart. And that's why all of this terrible shit is happening. That's why all the awful stuff on TV is going on. It's why you can no longer trust people to keep their words if you don't know them. It's why everybody keeps voting with their skin color or their sexuality or gender or whatever bollocks it is today. Because they're not unified under Christ, because they're not one under Christ, because they're not brothers and sisters in Christ. It doesn't matter if you agree with the literal truth of Christianity or not. The founders did, and they made a country for people who did. And if you don't agree with that, or you don't like God, or you don't see why too much freedom is leading us all to hate and kill each other, and you don't appreciate that we should not only restore Christianity in culture, but require it in public life, you should go to Canada. You should go somewhere else where there's a moral architecture built into the law. But here, it doesn't work without God. And when you don't have him, when instead people replace prayer and the rituals of the church with antidepressants, with compound interest, with games and drink and drugs and fornication, kind of thing he does with his wife, you know, offering her around town like she's common property. America doesn't work when we behave that way, because we'll all just end up murdering each other. That's all.